Welcome back, everyone, to Fireside Chat. I'm Kendall Capps. I'm here alongside Christopher Lewis and Andrew Williamson, and we're going to take a look at the MLB season. About 20 games in so far.
Yeah, and a lot of interesting developments. And then we start off, we've got a lot of interesting off-the-field developments that you don't see, especially the Major League Baseball takes over control of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen this before. Previously, it happened with Texas not too long ago. For it to happen to a franchise like the Dodgers with the history, it's not something you would expect.
Well, Frank McCourt's been a little bit irresponsible with the Dodgers, and Bud Selig felt he needed to come in and take over, and I agree with him, actually. I mean,
See, I'm iffy on whether or not they should have done it. They didn't take over the Rangers until that team was bankrupt already. Frank McCourt has money, but he did. He went out and took out a $30 million personal loan, and he did it a personal loan instead of against the team so that Major League Baseball could have no say in whether or not he could do it. And I think baseball kind of wanted to show that this is still their sport. I think they know how important it is to have a good team in Los Angeles to keep that sport interesting. And I think they actually, from a Dodgers perspective, may be able to make some moves that Frank McCourt wasn't willing to make, as he seems to be distracted from off-the-field issues.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot he's been going through with the divorce. He's taken out so many loans. He took out loans to be able to buy the team. I mean, he was in the hole to begin with.
and these aren't small loans. I mean, the last one was $30 million. I mean, that's a lot of money right there.
Absolutely, and you've seen this team miss out on big free agents, not make moves that they could have made because of the financial mess. Going back to when Frank McCourt first came in with the team, and I think Major League Baseball decided they'd had enough, and they didn't want to see it go on.
Well, I mean, it was really irresponsible, and also from the standpoint, there might be some serious tax problems that he and his wife or ex-wife will now have to face with some of this money that they've been dealing with. And that could be something that's really big for them. And I think, baseball, they want to get a clean slate, get someone in there. They just appointed someone to help try to right the ship and at least get some working operation in Los Angeles.
Well, how about in other off-the-field news? Bud Selig announced this week that the baseball is considering adding 2 teams into the playoff mix next year.
Well, this is one of those things where I'm actually quite confused on what's going on right now with the addition of 2 playoff teams going on. And I know that, Kendall, you have some insight.
Well,
into what's
basically, the
going on.
way it works now, you have your best division winner in each league play the one wild card team, which is the team with the best record that didn't win their division out of those 3 divisions. Now you're going to have 2 wild card teams. Those 2 teams, the 4th and 5th, presumably best teams in the league, will play each other, I believe, in a 2 of 3 series. The winner of that will then go on to play the best division winner, and it would go standard from there on out.
And do you like the change? Do you think it should be changed? What's your opinion there?
Initially, I didn't like it. I like the way things were set up. I like how difficult it is to make the playoffs in baseball as opposed to some other sports where more than half of the league gets into the postseason. But the more I've sat back and thought about it, there's been a lot of teams that were really, they deserved to be in the playoffs, and maybe they had a better record than a team that won a weaker division. And it could really help balance out, I think.
Listen, a lot of teams like Baltimore, Toronto, who are in the AL East right now, I mean, it's hard to compete with the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays and the NL Central with 6 teams. I mean,
The AL Central, yeah.
The
NL, yes,
yeah,
I'm
NL
sorry,
Central. I mean, those are tough divisions. The addition of 2 teams, that could help it along.
Well,
actually.
and I think it's good for baseball, and I don't think it's going to dilute it too much. It'll still be the hardest sport to get into the playoffs. They're not even close to some other sports like basketball or football. And also, I think it's going to keep teams with smaller markets, fan bases, more interested throughout the season because you have a chance to compete for another spot. Whereas, like you said, if you're in the Yankees division, the Red Sox division, you have no hope from the start of the season.
Yeah, by the end of Memorial Day, the season is
You're done. So
yeah.
I think it's good for baseball. I think it'll make the playoffs more exciting. It's kind of like a one series play-in game, and it gives a chance, like you said, for a team that maybe got better at the end of the year, didn't have the best record, to make a run at it.
All right, how about we dive into some baseball this year? We got a couple teams that are really doing well, mainly because of their pitching. Start off with the Phils. I mean, early on, their pitching was strong. They weren't scoring runs necessarily. They're starting to put it together. I think they now have the best record in baseball.
They do. They took that over yesterday with the Rockies' loss and their win. So they're 15-7 right now, or 16-7. I think they won today, actually.
Yeah.
And they're looking hot right now.
Yeah, and with the way that lineup was pitching, it was kind of only a matter of time before this team really got rolling, and now you're looking at one of the best teams.
Well, how
in
about
baseball.
another team like that, the Boston Red Sox? People expected really big things. They came out of the gate 2-10. A lot of people in Boston are worrying. There's a lot of questions. Carl Crawford, a lot of other guys aren't playing well. Here we are, just a couple weeks later. They've won 8 of 9. Their pitching staff, Dice K, has thrown 2 one-hitters in the last week.
Lackey,
I mean,
yesterday against the Angels, came out and pitched a gem against them. I mean, all their starters the last 7 games have gone deep as well. I mean,
Yeah, they're not giving up
innings,
runs.
and
It's
they're
been
not-
a really impressive run. So, of course, they're coming around.
Well,
as
and they finally got Carl Crawford back on track. He
Home
hit a home
run.
run. He had a couple of steals. He was really looking like a threat on the base paths again. And I think that's a good sign. I think you guys are starting to come together. Thankfully, they didn't have to face Jared Weaver when they played the Angels. But the Red Sox, I think they're going to be there at the end. The Yankees are still a good team.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know the Red Sox are going to be hanging around this
Yeah.
early point.
Well,
in the
I
season.
think a sweep of the Angels that they just had in Anaheim is a big momentum boost.
Yeah, you
for
go on the
them.
road,
I
you
mean,
steal 4 from Anaheim when they were playing well going in, almost taking the division lead from
Yeah.
Texas.
Mhm.
So that was a really big swing for them. How about we look at some individual players that have really done well? Andre Ethier now has a 22-game hitting streak.
Mhm.
Well, it's I think tied the record for hits in April, or consecutive games with a hit in April.
And he tied that with Joe Torre, who hit that in the 1960s, I think. And Joe Torre actually went on a 24-game hitting streak back in those times. So, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps this rolling for a little bit,
Well-
but getting to the big number is...
And I really like the way Don Mattingly's handling the Dodgers right now with all this pressure from the media, all the things going on in the front office. This team's won 4, they're 4-1 since baseball's taken over.
Yeah.
And Don Mattingly's kept that team nice and even keeled. I think he's used to being in the spotlight in New York. He knows how to handle this, and he's kept that team with its head on his shoulders. I think they've impressed for the division.
Yeah, yeah. How
What
about
about
another... Oh, well,
Jared Weaver. I
Yeah.
mean, I think
That's one guy, like you mentioned, the Sox were able to get that 4-game sweep. They didn't have to go against Weaver.
Yeah.
Weaver, if he wins today, he will be 6-0, the fastest start ever to 6-0 in MLB history by this date. It's been really impressive. He barely allows guys to get on. He's finally really stepping up in ways that people had expected. He's a true ace.
Well, and I think that's actually going to be our Fireside Chat Spotlight Player of the Week. Kendall wanted to talk a little bit about Jared Weaver here.
Well, Kendall's Fireside Star of the Week is Jared Weaver. You know, he's come a long ways the last few years. He had to come out initially out from underneath his brother Shadow. Jeff Weaver, coming out of Long Beach State, was highly touted, supposed to be the next real deal, big right-hander. But ever since Jared Weaver has gotten to the majors behind him, he's pretty much outperformed and outshined him. And now he's worked his way, I believe, into the top 5 pitchers in baseball. You take a look at what he's done the last year, year and a half, he's really taken it to another level. You look at his walks per strikeout ratio, the amount of innings that he goes. He only won maybe 13 games last year, but he had a bunch of leads blown by his bullpen. I mean, he is clearly a 20-game winner if he plays for a team that can score some runs and they can close some games for him. And I think this week he deserves to be have an extra taken a look at because he's just that good, really.
Thank you, Kendall. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us here on Fireside Chat. For Chris Lewis and Kendall Capps, I'm Andrew Williamson. We hope to see you next week.